Happy Friday, Whitewater students. Here's a video about Mara and Dann, a synopsis of the story. I'm going to try to keep it to around 5 minutes. It's for people who read the book and who want help with memory. It's for people who didn't get a chance to read much of the book and are working with the last four chapters. Um, the book begins with Mara and Dann, orphaned, exiled. They spend some time in the rock village with Daima. There's a lot there that could be written about. The key figure is Kulik, who follows them through the whole book. He's the bad guy. Somewhat one dimensional, but that's fine. That fits our tale. Daima is a more interesting character. She gives Mara the skills to survive in our world. Dawn is, of course, off the scene for much of this. Uh, I think the first 70, 80 pages of the book are more about Mara trying to survive in nature more than other people so much. It will change after that when they go to Chelops and Bilma and the other cities. But in the very beginning, it's just surviving and staying alive. Um, Dawn returns. Mara and Dawn take off. There is exciting adventures on the road. I'm not going to try to detail those because we would never get to the end of this. But for those of you who read it, those should be pretty easy to find. All right. First city is a largely deserted one. That's where they encounter the merchant with the water dragon. But we're more interested in the next city, Chelops. That's where the Mahandi are in a very corrupt uh, relationship with the Hadron. The Hadron rule the city, but basically they're drug addicted and um, lazy and befuddled and befogged. And yet the Mahandi are really not free either. They supposedly are in charge of things, but they have no real power. The concern I feel in Shelops for Mara is that she's the only one who seems to realize that this world is doomed. Given where she's coming from, she knows what's next. She cannot get the Mahandi of Chelops to see what's coming. And I think this relates to Doris Lessing living during World War II in the old Rhodesia, which was so attached to its white supremacist ideology, and that was doomed. And it still is, by the way. All right. In Chelops, we see both Mara and Don behaving in certain characteristic ways. I think you guys should keep that in mind as a way of unifying the book. That's one way too. And Mara has to save Don from those horrible what happened to him in those horrible black towers in the center of Chelops. However, they do leave together, and the next part of the book is quite interesting. There's a long river journey that I find really fascinating, but I'll let you guys recall that. Um, Easy enough to find in the section where they're recruited into two different armies. What kind of things do you think about? You know, that part's weird because it should be, oh, they're at war. Well, they're not. They're in this weird kind of phony war, neutral war, where there isn't actually a lot of action. Uh, Most of it's because the two societies have decided this is a good way to just feed everybody and organize things. And if everybody's employed by the military, it's a strange form of collective, and I think it's very depressing because it doesn't allow for any individual freedom, and the culture stagnates. Right? We know this to be true, of course, of Mussolini's Italy and Hitler's Germany. Highly organized uh, and spiritless, soulless. All right, Mara and Don desert their armies in the siege of that one city. I'm not going to try to look at the name of the city. You guys can look it up on the map. And then there are the scenes in the river cities and Bilma. Bilma is very key. That's where the House of Prostitution exists, where they become very close to Lita and Dallas. And these are the people who are going to form a colony at the end of the novel on where would be modern North Africa today, like Morocco, I think, the Straits of Gibraltar. Um, The section in Bilma is rich with material for journals. There's prostitution. There's the politics behind the scenes. There isn't a lot of action in Mara and Don, but there's certainly a lot of contriving and escapes, and realizing that you're in danger, and strategizing. And I think that makes for more interesting reading. sometimes than action scenes that are almost best done by action movies. But there is an excellent scene, fight scene with Kulik and Mara and Dann near the end. Um, Here's a scene that doesn't have any action, but I think is fascinating when they go to the center and they have to deal with Felix and Felice. Felix and Felice want Mara and Don to marry and to restore the old regime. We talked about this before. Um, to me, this book is a series of images or pictures. That's how I always think about it. So even though this what happens at the center is kind of unappealing, fascinating things are seen there. The museum, and the scenes with Mara and Don as Don tries to perhaps avoid it. Maybe this is what their destiny is, and Mara has to be the rational, mature, um, just wiser person. And I find the scene after they flee the center to be quite moving. Lessing is confronting something quite taboo there. All right, I'm going to quickly summarize the last part. They get to this farm where they're going to start a new life. Uh, Try at this point to do a look back as far as you can into the book and see how is this ending somehow suitable. I think it fits the book well. There is a sequel to the novel, uh, but I won't tell you anything about that because a lot happens there too. It's a much shorter book, half the length of Mara and Dann. All right, this is enough. 6.5 minutes. I've probably lost most of you. If I haven't, well, have a happy weekend.